An absolute bombshell of a report has been revealed by a New York Jets insider as the draft trade rumors are heating up based off some now key interests and key insights by the New York Jets front office that could look to make a trade up in the NFL draft. And on top of that, what a lot of people have learned about Darren Mougey's past with NFL drafts, and we're going to break all of it down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. And if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe if you're part of that 78% that is not subscribed to Jets Digest. This is the place to be for all New York Jets updates. But let's jump into the video because we have a lot to talk about, guys. Obviously, with the Jets having the 7th pick in the NFL draft, there's going to be a lot of noise about a lot of different prospects that the New York Jets have interest in, may have interest in, will be linked to, and it's going to happen time and time again up until this NFL draft. But now, a New York Jets insider might have just revealed the New York Jets plans. He might have really given a good insight into Darren Mougey himself and what he's going to want to do just based off his draft process. On top of that, a key name who the Jets cannot stop being linked to, which could mean a trade is on the way, specifically because the Jets would have to trade up for him. So let's jump into this, guys. Now, as Zack Rosenblatt mentioned, expect to hear noise about quarterbacks in this draft class that the Jets are in love with and would want to pursue. There's already been some of that with Miami's Cam Ward, the consensus top quarterback in this NFL draft class. That would require a significant trade up from 7th overall. If the Jets believe Ward is a surefire starter and potential franchise quarterback, it is worth making a move. The Athletics' Dan Burglar, really? Has Ward ranked 15th overall, the lowest of any QB1 since 2022 when Kenny Pickett was the top-ranked quarterback prospect and ranked 30th and eventually was picked by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Darren Mougey, here's the thing. There's a lot of noise about his past with the Broncos, specifically regarding last draft with Bo Nix, and we will discuss that as Mougey was a big part of that as well. So it is important to take a look into this and see, okay, we've seen what he did in the past. We've seen how he acts in the past and what his preferences are and what he's learned from the Broncos front office that he's bringing with him to New York. And the Broncos obviously needed a quarterback as well after making a huge cap sacrifice to cut a quarterback who was a veteran, former NFL superstar as well. So Mougey's found himself in a similar position last year, and now once again is going to follow that blueprint that the Broncos made to make their first playoff appearance since they won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. So obviously things are going to get very interesting. The New York Jets likely will try to follow that blueprint, which could lead to them drafting a quarterback in the first round, specifically Cameron Ward. Now, Ward played 1 year in Miami after 2 years at Washington State. And look, he was good at Miami for sure. Most average yards per attempt of any quarterback, most yards, most passing touchdowns. The man was cooking yards per attempt. The man was absolutely awesome at Miami last season. And there's been some people who really like his game, some who are a little more weary of the fact that he makes a lot of mistakes and is someone who is prone to just throw in absolute prayers, which could obviously lead to a ton of interceptions as well. But also, if it works out, it could become a very high ceiling move. The New York Jets have interest in Cam Ward. We know that to be a fact. There's no hiding that the Jets do like Cam Ward a lot. And there's going to be a lot of Cam Ward talk because if the Jets want to acquire Cam Ward via the draft, they will have to make some sort of trade up to the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd overall pick. Now, the New York Giants are the 3rd overall pick, and I fully expect them to pick Shedeur Sanders either way. However, you look at a team like the Titans that wants a strong-arm quarterback like Cameron Ward, but it's not exactly clear. Matt, who is our draft guru on the channel, he did discuss that he thinks it'll just be Travis Hunter because Travis Hunter is the best player in the draft. On top of that, 2nd overall, it feels like Abdul Carter is a perfect storm for the Browns considering Myles Garrett's going to get traded, putting the Jets in a spot where they might be able to trade for the 4th pick and get away with Cam Ward, but also the Titans are going to try to hold that over the Jets' heads in case they want to move back. Even so, there's a likelihood that Travis Hunter doesn't end up wanting to go to the Browns at all and can force his way around them. The Patriots picking 4th. It's tough for the Jets to acquire that pick as well. And it feels like if Travis Hunter falls below 3, the Patriots will certainly take him at 4th overall, specifically if they want to use him as a wide receiver to give Drake May an option, and they definitely would probably use him as a corner as well. They'd probably let Hunter go both ways, which is it's hard to tell if he's going to do that in the NFL. We're about to figure out with the NFL Draft Combine. I'm very curious. I could see it being something where he plays some snaps at wide receiver, but is also mainly a cornerback. That's my guess of what's going to happen. but we will see what goes down with that. Obviously, there's a ton more news to look into, such as the fact that Rosenblatt mentioned that it's been reported that Aaron Glenn prefers quarterbacks with mobility. Ward has some of that, though he didn't run a whole lot of Miami or Washington State. He scrambled 32 times in 2024, which ranked 32nd among all college quarterbacks. Only 14 of his carries went for more than 10 yards, though he did rush for 17 touchdowns over 3 collegiate seasons, so he likes to rush if he's at the red zone, but it's a little bit more iffy to not really rushing that often if he's in a position where he could throw the football. So not exactly the running quarterback that Aaron Glenn likes, which does connect the Jets once again to a guy like Justin Fields as a potential bridge option, or the Jets potentially drafting or trading for Hendon Hooker as well off the Detroit Lions, someone who does rush the ball well, and on top of that, knows Aaron Glenn quite well. So it is something that we could also see that happen, where that would not be shocking as well if the Jets want to go for Hendon Hooker for a year, see if he's got anything. He's 27 years old, so it doesn't really feel like he's going to be the long-term answer for the Jets, but the Jets also might decide to hold off till next season when Arch Manning and Nico Iamaleava are the number 1 and number 2 overall picks in the NFL draft. Now, obviously, Nico does need to have a stronger season this year coming around, but I do expect him to do that. He's got all the tools to become that good, and I fully expect him to become that good. Outside of that, it seems like Drew Aller, will also probably be the 3rd pick in 2026. There's a lot of time till then, so we could hold off on the 2026 talk for a little bit. Looking at 2025, the quarterbacks, I mean, you don't have a clear, great rushing option is the thing. Like, there's not someone there. Shedeur Sanders isn't an elite athlete. Cam Ward isn't an elite athlete. And no one else is going to get picked in the first round at quarterback, most likely. Hopefully the Jets don't draft Jackson Dart. I mean, I just don't like him. I don't think he has a good ability. I don't think he's a great passer. I don't think he's some elite runner either. I don't think he's got any elite traits. There's just some highlights that make him look like he could become really good if everything works out. But also, we've seen something like this before with Darren Mougey. Mougey, now it's mentioned by Zack Rosenblatt that if the Jets are going to draft a quarterback, they're most likely going to, at this juncture, stick at 7 and pick someone, though Ward and Sanders likely will not be there, or they'll trade back and draft one after the first round. This is a draft class that is viewed as having only 2 first-round prospects. We've already mentioned them. It's Ward and Sanders. But don't let that consensus be the driving force when trying to suss out what the Jets might do. Just look at where Mougey came from and how the Broncos approached their quarterback position last year, as the Broncos went out and found their way to keep their affinity for Bo Nix a secret, going so far to create a dummy draft board that ranked their quarterback preferences in no particular order, even though they loved Bo Nix. And that's now a report from Monday Morning Quarterback. This was both to keep their true feelings from getting out and also to internally prevent any sort of bias in the discussion, and also to simply keep the brass secret. Now, keep the brass's secret, that is. Forgot the apostrophe. But look, I love that. I do. I love that they're going to keep things a secret. Maybe this Jackson Dart stuff, maybe this Cam Ward stuff. Very likely that this is just an absolute pump fake by the Jets. If all this is coming out, and what the Jets really don't want to do is let the news come out, Darren Mougey might have that place like Fort Knox, and they're just throwing out random signals like, well, yeah, we like Cam Ward. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just trying to throw people off their trail. Maybe there is a quarterback the Jets like that they think they can get in the 2nd or the 3rd round, like a Kyle McCord or something like that. There's a world where that's what they're thinking. Kyle McCord, Quinn Ewers, like something like that that's less expected from the Jets, but also would make some sense. There's so many elite prospects at the top of the draft, especially regarding a defense that is going to lose a few players in free agency. So it would make some sense for the Jets to hold off, and when one of those 2 quarterbacks are taken, and probably 2 of those 2 quarterbacks are taken, the Jets will have a chance at a top 5 ranked player in this NFL draft, which is certainly going to be a good sign for them. Whether it's a guy like a Will Johnson, who's more on the outside. I just think Will Johnson's a lot better than people give him credit for. Mason Graham, Abdul Carter won't be there. Travis Hunter won't be there. But there is a few other names. I mean, Will Campbell, potentially. The Jets will move him to guard, finish out building an elite offensive line that's quite young for a quarterback that they could then take in the 3rd round and say, hey, we really think this guy is going to pan out. We like him a lot, but we're not going to let any of this come out to the public, like the Broncos didn't let anything come out about Bo Nix to the public so they could throw teams off the trail. I think this is a genius move if the Jets are actually being serious here. The best front offices, they don't let stuff get out. They don't. They're not revealing stuff to the public. No one's hearing about what teams are doing and what they want to do. And I mean, I think that's perfect. I think that's the sign of a good front office, that nothing is getting out to the public. What was a big problem with the Jets last year? Everything went out to the public. Darren Mougey is trying to stop that. Darren Mougey is trying to stop that. I'm trying to pronounce his name right. I'm sorry, Darren. But in all seriousness, I think the New York Jets have entered themselves in a position where if this is what's actually happening, where if Darren Mougey is trying to essentially just hide who his quarterback is, who they like in this draft, if there is one, then they're doing the right thing. I don't think it's going to be Cam Ward on the Jets. I don't think the Jets are going to trade up for a quarterback. It feels like too much of a panic move, and that seems like the opposite of what this front office wants to do. Again, also on top of that, when you think about Aaron Glenn specifically wanting a running quarterback, that is not Cam Ward. That is not Shedeur Sanders. There's better running quarterbacks when you go down the draft board. So it's more likely that they'll draft someone later on, I think, based off what Glenn likes and all this stuff. Maybe Jackson Dart falls to the third round. The Jets actually do like him, and this has just come out. Maybe that happens. But also, maybe Jackson Dart is a pump fake. Maybe Cam Ward is a pump fake. Maybe the Jets secretly really like Shedeur Sanders. Maybe secretly the New York Jets are big fans of Kyle McCord. There's a lot that's going to happen in these coming weeks, and it's going to have a huge implication on the Jets. And guys, we're going to report on all of it. So make sure you guys are subscribed, like this video, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Jets.